I spent 26 years of my life as an NPC. And for those who don't know, an NPC stands for non-playable character. It's the background people that are in Grand Theft Auto who can't think, can't choose, and can't do anything. They just exist. They consume oxygen and take up space and only react to what happens to them. And that was me for the longest time, following a script that was written by other people and living a life that I didn't choose. Essentially just playing it safe while watching other people live the life that I secretly wanted. I remember watching all these YouTubers and people online. I know everything you see online isn't always real, but I just remember believing and thinking that there was something more to what I had going on. One day I heard something that completely changed my worldview. The only real test of intelligence is if you get what you want out of life. And this is a quote from Naval, Ravikant, who, if you guys don't know, is a serial entrepreneur, investor, and essentially now modern day philosopher. So if you guys don't know him, you should definitely check him out. He has a great book that I'm currently working through right now called The Almanac of Naval Ravikant, How to Get Rich Without Getting Lucky. I'm listening to the audiobook right now. You guys should definitely go check it out. But when I first heard that quote, I realized something terrifying, which is that I didn't know what I wanted, let alone how to start going about getting it. I was intelligent on paper, I had good grades, a graduate degree, good job, but part of me just always felt like I was living someone else's definition of success, while the real me was slowly dying on the inside. But at some moment in everyone's life, I firmly believe that the point of your pain starts to exceed the pleasure of your comfort. And once I hit that threshold, that's when I realized that I couldn't continue being an NPC and living a script that was written for me by someone else. And that if I wanted real satisfaction out of life, that I had to start being the main character of my own story and writing the script for myself, no matter where it took me. So here's what I've discovered about high agency people. The people who actually get what they want out of life. They don't wait for permission. They don't wait for perfect conditions. And they don't wait for someone else to come in and solve all their problems. If they're unfulfilled, they change careers, even if everyone else around them thinks that they're crazy. If they're depressed, they completely restructure their lives. They start working out. They start being more productive. They start mapping out their goals and setting specific habits that will allow them to achieve them. And if their relationships are dying or suffering, they have the hard conversations that other people want to avoid. And if they feel spiritually empty, they start to seek truth wherever it leads. They adopt spiritual disciplines like praying, fasting, and reading their Bibles. They architect their reality rather than reacting to it. And I realized that everything that I've been taught about playing it safe and following the rules had made me a passenger in my own life. But here's a freeing truth that I found, which is that you can architect your life. You can break free from NPC mode and become someone who shapes reality rather than just surviving it. And there are 3 mindset shifts that changed everything for me and that I believe can change everything for you too. Okay guys, so I'm going to be going to a recovery studio today because the more that I work out and stay active, I just don't bounce back how I used to. I'm 27 now, turning 28 next month, and I've just realized that my recovery has to start being prioritized because it's just been bad. Like recently, I pulled my hamstring, twisted my ankle a couple times. It's ironic because I feel like I'm in the best shape that I've been in a long time, probably my entire life, especially cardiovascularly, but my body just does not bounce back how it used to. So because of that, recently I've been really trying to prioritize my recovery, and I'm trying to find where to go. There's a couple different options. I could sign up for a gym that has recovery. I think One Life has a recovery station. Last week when I ran the 5K, if you guys saw that, they were advertising some recovery stuff, and their gym membership is actually pretty affordable. So I'm thinking about signing up for the membership, honestly, just to get the recovery stuff. That's one option. Another option is that there's a bunch of medical spas and things like that I could sign up for, but those are a little bit more expensive. But it might be worth it because if I want to stay active for the long term, which ultimately is my goal, I have to figure out a way to make it sustainable. And I think the best way to do that is by signing up for something that I can do consistently, but that's also within the budget. So you guys are gonna come with me and I'm gonna figure this out. This is part of solving your problems. The problem that I have right now is recovery, wanting to stay active. So I'm going to do the necessary steps today to try to solve that problem so I can continue to be active for the foreseeable future. So yeah, guys, let's go check it out. But in the meantime, let's get into the next point. Okay, so the first shift that you have to make is to become dangerously curious. The truth is that most people live in tiny bubbles of repeated information. They determine and get their worldview from the same sources. They talk to the same people, and they constantly consume the same type of content. And a big mistake that they make is they mistake being informed for being intelligent, and they confuse having opinions with having understanding. And that was me for the longest time. I'd get all my information from social media and highlights and hot takes, but I'd never actually take the time to investigate and research all of these things I was receiving by myself. I was intellectually lazy, but for some reason I thought that I had some type of intellectual superiority. And then something happened earlier this year that humbled me and made me realize that I wasn't as smart as I thought I was. So growing up in an immigrant Nigerian household, we never really went on vacation. Like, that wasn't something that we did. And I remember the one time that we tried, we went up to DC, which is ironically like near where I live now. And it was just such an interesting kind of awkward experience because none of us were used to vacationing and we didn't know how to really experience a new place. But since I graduated and got my first big boy job, I decided to make travel a priority. So earlier this year, me and some friends decided to go to Switzerland and Italy for a ski trip, and then Italy just to explore the cities of Florence and Milan. And it was a group of us, about 6 or 7 guys, but one of my friends completely changed how I see the world. And it's not because he was necessarily the most smart person in the room, but because he was the most curious. So while I was being your typical tourist, like trying to take aesthetic pictures and trying to like check off all the tourist boxes, he was taking a completely different approach, which was that he was asking questions that never even occurred to me. He would ask questions about the politics in Italy. He would ask about the leadership, the infrastructure, the different relationships that these countries had to the other countries that surrounded it, the social environment, the political climate, and all of these questions that he was asking were things that I wasn't even thinking about at the time. And at first, if I'm being honest, it was almost annoying. But about halfway through the trip, I realized something profound, which is that while I had spent time accumulating facts and credentials, he had spent years accumulating wisdom and understanding. He had developed a really good understanding of how the world actually worked, while I had only developed my understanding through books, and I had never actually had that firsthand experience to develop a real tangible understanding of the inner workings of the world. From that moment, I decided to embrace what I call the curiosity principle. Because what I had to realize and humbly learn is that real learning doesn't only happen in the classroom. It happens everywhere, with everyone, and all of the time. But it only happens if you are brave enough to admit that you don't know everything. And this is something that I learned from my friend and that I really respect, is that he asked questions from everyone. He would ask my opinion on stuff, my other friends' opinions on stuff, the locals, everyone that we came in contact with, he had some type of question to ask them. And because of that, he was gaining knowledge and understanding at a rapid pace, a lot quicker than someone who's too proud to show that they don't know something. And a lot of the most successful people that I know, they all share that same trait, which is that they ask good, insightful questions. They also talk to strangers and they investigate ideas that challenge their assumptions rather than just reaffirming them, which is what I feel most people do. We look for information to back what we already know rather than things that challenge what we already know and force us to have to gain a deeper level of understanding. They don't just travel to new places, but to new ways of thinking. A easy but big adjustment that I've made is that rather than scrolling on social media, I've decided to read a lot more. So I started reading a newsletter called The Morning Brew, and instead of scrolling social media in the morning mindlessly, now I decide to read that so I can gain a more broad understanding of the world. And what I like about this particular newsletter is that it provides a non-biased point of view, so I could just take the information and then create my own opinions from it. And then also it talks about all different types of topics, from politics to sports to movies to pop culture, basically everything that's relevant and that's happening in current events. And one of my friends also allowed me to have his subscription to The Economist, so I'll also go there and read more articles and things if I want to gain a deeper understanding. And I've I've also been reading more Substack. Shameless plug, you guys go follow me on Substack. That's where I'll be posting some of my thoughts and also these videos in written form. There'll be a link in the description for you guys to sign up for the Substack. The benefit of this is that it's exposing me to so many more ideas and worldviews that I would never have been exposed to if I only got my information from social media. So stop pretending like you know everything. Start asking more questions. And when you do so, you'll find that the world opens up for you way more than it did before. All right, guys, let's get into this sweat house. That's what it's called, sweat house. It's like a recovery studio. They have an infrared sauna, they have a cold plunge, and then they have a vitamin C shower. I don't know what a vitamin C shower is. I do use vitamin C as like a serum for my face, so like it helps like brighten up my skin. I've never done a vitamin C shower. Unfortunately, they don't have the compression stockings, so I might be going to another place to check that out. I think it would be good to check out a couple of different places before I decide what I want to do more routinely. But yeah, guys, let's check it out. One of the things that annoys me about living in this area is parking, bro. I always have to pay for parking. It's $5 to park here, in addition to what I'm paying to just go to the sweat house. Life is expensive. Life is so freaking expensive. You need to get rich. I don't come to this part of Arlington very often, but it's kind of cool. There's a lot of young people here, a lot of stuff to do. Taller buildings than where I live. It's a nice area, definitely nice. So that's one life over there. You guys see that? I don't know if you guys see that, but that's another option that I have. They have like a recovery section. The only thing is the parking. I'm not trying to pay for parking every time I go to the gym or just go to the recovery. Yeah, I also don't want to pay for parking every time I come here, so I'm gonna have to figure out something else. Okay, so just a 1 minute walk right up the street, up on the right. Okay, so this appointment is at 2 o'clock. It's currently 1:50. So I kind of timed it perfectly. Okay, it's right here, sweet. I'm always running late to these things, but I'm actually on time today. Turning a new chapter. All right, sweat house. This looks legit.
This is gonna be the sauna. This is a new sauna actually. We just installed this a little bit ago to make this a full contrast therapy room. Orange filter at the top and cools the water with vitamin C. We keep this at like 48, 50 degrees, so it's not a freezing cool.
I've never done a cold plunge before, no. So this is about to be wild.
Okay, so
yeah. This is cold. Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah. All right, I am in the sweat house. I'm not sure if you guys heard what she was talking about. The lighting here sucks. But let's try this out. So they have the sauna here. I'm gonna hop in here for a little bit. Then they have the vitamin C shower here. Apparently right here is the vitamin C that infuses with the shower, helps brighten up the skin. They have a media player here that I can mess around with, YouTube, Netflix, all that good stuff. Then the cold plunge. This is what I'm scared of right here. I have never done a cold plunge before. I've never done this before. I've done like cold showers and stuff, but I've never completely submerged my body in a cold plunge. So that will be an experience. Gonna get changed, and we have 60 minutes in here. That's the timer. Good thing I brought some swim trunks, because if not, I would have been kind of cooked. Let's hop in this infrared first, and let's get it started. Hopefully this is relaxing, man. I need this. As you guys can see, I'm starting to sweat like crazy in here. It is 160 degrees, 162 degrees Fahrenheit. I can't even talk anymore, it's so hot. Been in here about 15 minutes now. Honestly, it feels pretty good. Can't wait to hop in that shower and try out this cold plunge. That cold plunge might just feel amazing after this. I hope I didn't speak too soon. We'll see. Okay, so the vitamin C shower was actually very nice. It was very warm and refreshing. I could feel the vitamin C. It's like a little slimy almost. But now it is time for the cold plunge, the moment we have all been waiting for. Oh my goodness, I've never done cold plunge. I've only done cold showers. They make me feel more awake in the morning, having to wake up so early for work. But I've never completely submerged my body in cold water. I forget how cold she said it is. All right, nervous is an understatement. Yeah, nervous is an understatement, but let's do this. We can do this, because we can do hard things. I'm like trying to stall. Okay. Jesus. I tried. I really did. Oh my God, it's freezing. I'll be back in the shower. Okay. That was one of the craziest things I've ever felt. I felt like I was dying. I was having a literal panic attack when I went in. But after I settled down, my nervous system started to get regulated, and it actually wasn't that bad, but it was extremely cold. I'm saying it wasn't that bad, but I was almost crying like a baby when I hopped in that zone. Anyways, I am going to do another cycle. I have another 35 minutes. Gonna sit in there for probably 15, hop in here for a little bit, and then end with another cold plunge. Hopefully the second one, I can go in a little bit longer, and it's not as bad as the first one, but hey, gotta start somewhere. Second time around, I'm just gonna go ahead and skip the shower and go straight into the cold plunge, knock it out. I only have 13 minutes left, so I'm gonna do that, then take a shower, then get out of here. It's freezing. I'm actually really hot right now, but it's gonna be freezing in there. Hopefully it's better than the first time. All right, that was definitely better than the first time, but still not great. Only in there for maybe about a minute or so, and I am freezing. I might go back in. I might just go back in. So I have 10 more minutes, so I might just dunk my head in and then take a shower, call it a day. It takes so much out of you, and it's so hard because your entire body is screaming to get out of there, but it does feel good. My body already is feeling a lot better. That was a great experience. I would probably go back. The only thing, like I said before, is that they don't have the compression treatment therapy, so I'm really looking for a place that has that. The other stuff, the sauna, the cold plunge especially, was very beneficial, but it is on the expensive side, so I might try to find something that's a little more sustainable. But for a first experience, definitely good. Would recommend you guys go check them out. But yeah, let's get into this second point. Okay, we are here at the second recovery spot, which is called Alpha Cryo. Unfortunately, like I said, the other spot didn't have the compression therapy, and I really want to get that done because it's the only thing that helps my ankle. Ever since I twisted it, there's just a lot of fluid accumulation and inflammation, so it just really helps in redistributing the fluid. Anyways, here, gonna do that, but for the second point, let's get into it. The second shift that you have to make is understanding that your differences are your superpowers. Because society has one job, and that job is to make you normal, to essentially sand down all your edges until you fit neatly into pre-made boxes. And unfortunately, most people allow this to happen. I spent most of my life trying to blend in, trying to be accepted by other people, and always wanting to play it safe. I remember there was one moment in high school, when I was growing up, I was like skinny. I was a skinny kid. I wore glasses. So just imagine this skinny Nigerian kid walking around school, and it was after school. I was walking to the buses. I distinctly remember someone yelling, "Hey, like that kid looks like Urkel." And the people around just starting to laugh. It's funny now, but like in the moment, like that really hurt me. And because of that, I started to have this feeling of wanting to be accepted by other people, and like a low self-esteem that I had to spend a lot of time building up. That moment, in a way, it planted a seed of shame that grew for years. And after that, I spent a lot of time trying to hide the things that made me different. So my love for sci-fi books, the instruments that I would play at church, the food that my family ate, or the clothes that we'd wear to Nigerian parties, I would hide everything and basically just wanted to disappear into the crowd. And college wasn't any better, really. I went to the University of Virginia, which is a great school, phenomenal school, and I had a great time. But it is a PWI, so I was a minority on campus, and I would feel it heavily. And I remember when I first came to school, my first year, the tradition was that everyone would dress up for football games, and people would wear Sperry's and Vineyard Vines and all of these like bougie Southern brands that I, at the time, had never heard of before. So in the spirit of wanting to fit in and wanting to participate in this tradition, I remember I had a pair of Sperry's, or maybe I had some knockoffs. I don't even know if they were real Sperry's. Something that looked like Sperry's, and I had like a collared shirt, some shorts, I put on this fit, and I was hanging out with some of my friends at the time. I remember just feeling like such an imposter. I felt like a stranger in my own skin, and I felt so uncomfortable to the point that halfway through the game, I left and I changed. I put on like a t-shirt and I put on my Air Maxes, and I went to the game like that. I felt so much more like myself, and I felt more comfortable in my own skin when I started to be authentic to who I really was. It sounds dumb, but that t-shirt and those Air Maxes felt like I was coming home to myself and who I truly am. And it was in that moment that I decided to start embracing what made me different. Even if other people thought it was weird, I decided to embrace that. And it was such a freeing feeling. I stopped trying to hide what made me different, and I started highlighting it. Through that, I was able to find people that I actually could create real, genuine connections with. My second year of college, I even signed up for Africa Day, which was a fashion show of sorts at the time. Not even of sorts, it was a full-blown on fashion show. I didn't know this when I signed up. I did it just because I wanted to meet more people that had similar backgrounds to me on campus, and I thought this would be a good way of doing so. So I signed up thinking that it was going to be some type of rinky-dink like fashion show, or really didn't even know what to expect. But it turned out to be a full-blown event that half of the Black students essentially on campus went to. It's probably even more than that. But this was a great experience for me because it exposed me to a side of UVA that I hadn't seen before. And I was able to connect with people on such a deeper and authentic way than I hadn't been able to do before. It led to friendships that I still have today, memories that I still benefit from and have now, and open doors that I didn't even know were there. So here's what I've learned. Your differences aren't bugs, they're features. They're not obstacles to overcome. They're unique advantages that you can leverage for your own benefit. Robert Greene said it best. What makes you weird, odd, strange, different, that's your source of power. The world doesn't need another copy, so stop apologizing for who you are and choose to fully embrace it. All right, guys, gonna go in and do this therapy, but the third point is something that changed everything for me. Hello.
How are you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
For the contractions, since you're gonna be here for the next 30 minutes, you can do either the legs, the hips, or the arms. See that they
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it, man.
Okay, so unfortunately my camera died, so I had to film on my iPhone for the last couple clips, but hopefully they're not too bad. Anyways, let's get into the third point. The third thing that you have to do on your path to not being an NPC is to start creating. NPCs only consume. Main characters create. I remember when I used to watch Victorious back in the day on Nickelodeon. So there'd be like a classroom, and there were 5 people, 5, 6 people, whatever, the main characters, that would contribute everything to the plot. The rest of the characters, they would be in the background, and the only thing that they would do is react. They'd laugh, they'd make faces or whatever, or sometimes they do nothing at all, but they wouldn't contribute anything to the actual plot. And the people who were contributing to the actual plot were the people who were having the biggest impact. I know this is like a TV show, sitcom, so that's how those go, but it's a parallel to real life and how real life can be if you are one of those characters who's always in the background, never contributing anything to the actual plot. We live in a world that's designed to make you into just a consumer, to scroll, to buy, and to watch, and do that on repeat. And it's to keep you passive, predictable, and honestly profitable. But creation is rebellion. Creation is freedom. It's how you stop being a background character in someone else's story. I'm not talking about the modern day trap that a lot of people fall into, where it feels like every hobby and every side project or interest you have has to be monetized. I think that's a trap that a lot of people fall into, and thinking that if you're not making money from your side hustle, like maybe you like taking photos, or maybe you like crochet or something like that, the common thought process nowadays is to turn every single hobby into some type of business that you can profit from. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing. If that's what you want to do, go ahead and do it, because obviously I make videos, I post them on YouTube. So I'm not saying I'm against that. I'm just saying that that doesn't always have to be the purpose of creation. What I'm referring to is the type of creation that just comes from our innate human desire to want to create and to essentially leave our mark on the world. Our desire to turn words, sounds, images, and ideas into something that didn't exist before. God is called the creator for a reason, and we are all made in his image. So we all have this innate desire to build and design and create and bring new things into existence. And when you suppress that drive for too long by only consuming and never creating, you start to lose that spark that makes life exciting and that internal drive that can push you to keep being and feeling inspired. Like, I remember when I first started working my job, I felt like something was missing. It was because I wasn't creating. I wasn't doing anything to express myself. I was only going to work, and it was obviously a very serious job, and I didn't have any room for creativity and expressing myself. But the moment I started making these YouTube videos, I felt a release, and I felt like I was accessing a part of my brain that I'm not able to access at work. And through that, I felt so much more fulfilled in my day-to-day life. When you create, you remember what it feels like to be fully alive. So start small, write a paragraph, take a photo, build something with your hands, or write some code. Cook a meal from scratch, or record a voice memo of a random thought. Doesn't matter if it's good. It doesn't matter if anyone sees it. It just matters that you made it. Because every act of creation is an act of defiance against a world that wants you to stay passive. Here's a truth that you may not know, which is that you have way more power than you think. You can choose curiosity over comfort. You can choose authenticity over acceptance. And you can choose creation over consumption. The path of the NPC is easy. All you have to do is consume, play it safe, never take a risk, try to blend in, and just exist. But the path of the main character is harder. Ask the dangerous questions, embrace what makes you different, creating things that actually matter, and shaping your reality rather than just surviving it. So right now, watching this video, you have a choice to make. You can click off this video and go back to scrolling, go back to consuming other people's thoughts, other people's dreams, and other people's lives. Or you can decide that your life is too precious to waste on other people's scripts. You can decide to stop being an extra in a movie of life and start being the writer, director, and star of your own story. You can decide to live a life so authentic, so curious, and so creative that when you're gone, the world will know that you are here. Okay guys, that is it for today's video. If you made it all the way to the end, like always, I appreciate you. Go ahead and hit the like and subscribe because it really helps out the channel. And also go ahead and comment what recovery stuff you guys would recommend for me to do. It would really be helpful because I'm trying to really take this seriously, trying to increase my health span, man, and live long and healthy. But until the next video, you know the drill, don't drift. So I can gain a so I can gain